Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Sherelle and this channel is all about lifestyle tips and tricks on my eyes. It goes under my brows, it goes on areas where I want to cover. So if I've got any dark areas, this is my and having a conversation. So it's all just to kind of help us move forward in your fitness, healthcare, beauty journey, okay? So obviously last week, if you were here, I talked about just summarizing the ebook that I have, which is linked below. And it's just all around trying to get you started on this journey. Like sometimes I think like we get confused about what we want to do, why we want to do it. And it's just talked about 5 simple steps to have a productive year. And then also it's the ultimate guide to self-care. So as you know, I've been talking about self-care for years, something that I follow. So yeah, that's what it's all about. And then the second part. The second part is really one of those ones that like get skimmed over. I think people don't necessarily want to talk about it so much because it's not something that we kind of don't really go into detail about it. We know we're supposed to do it, but we don't do it. And it's prioritizing sleep and rest. Now it sounds so cliche because I think most people are like, yeah, okay, I know I should do it. But it's the most important thing because I think for us, how are we going to be productive if we're not getting the rest and taking care of ourselves by resting and sleeping? Now, even in my own life, I've actually learned to slow down a little bit because I'm someone who just likes to be active. I like to feel productive, to be fair. And then sometimes within that, then I realize I haven't actually rested. So then I'm complaining as to why I'm tired or whatever because I'm run down. And that's because I'm not prioritizing sleep and rest. And that whole topic is about, making sure you get adequate amount of sleep. And I know it sounds cliche and setting those kind of goals because I think for us we tend to think, okay, and I think to know what it is, I tell you why it's like that, is culture. And I think culture has played a part in this because I think if we're not told to work hard all types of hours, we hear about people who are successful working all types of crazy hours to get stuff done to reach their goals. And I think we tend to think, yay, I would mirror that. And I personally think that's actually quite unhealthy because for your brain to be at its ultimate best, you definitely need to have rest. And I think it's because it's so ingrained in us in our culture to just work and just, it's not about your well-being. And I think that's where in 2025 I think we should definitely prioritize changing that mindset. And actually, times I'm like, I say to myself, if I don't want to go out nowhere, I actually just no longer go out. And I still will live quite a busy life, but I think I've just learnt the art of saying no and the art of like rest, because I think if you're always running around, you will always do something for somebody. There's always something that needs to be done. And I think prioritizing your resting, relaxing, sometimes doing nothing. Like I know for me, I have days where it's my go-to. I've got to clean, I'm going to work 5 days a week, so it's not going to stop anything. But there's also times when I'm like, I actually don't want to do anything today. And that's okay because I know tomorrow I'm rested and I'm good to go and I can do what I need to do. And I think for some people, it may be different if your life is, you might have a family or, business owner, but I still think everyone deserves to rest, okay? And I think it just comes down to your mindset, whether that's, setting an alarm that that's one thing I think is important. Maybe set an alarm that you're like, you know what? This is the time I'm going to bed every night, regardless, or you think by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock my phone gets switched off. Like I actually put my phone on silent, and that allows your brain to kind of relax and rest. Now, as I say, I'm no expert in this, but I've learned that these are kind of like healthy lifestyles that I'm even implemented, and I actually want to do better on in 2025 as well, because I think if I don't do that, then what I want to achieve is not going to happen because I'm going to be tired and I'm going to be burnt out. And I think, moving forward, that's something that we've got to do. We've got to think to ourselves, is this the best way that we're operating, or is what I'm doing right now working for me? Because if you're finding out that you're very tired, maybe you need to look at your calendar and think, have I got, even if you set holidays like or mini breaks for yourself, that's a way of rest. Or maybe for you it just might be just having some alone time, just like find time to yourself to recuperate and rest. But in the ebook it just talks it briefly about it, so I'm going into a bit more detail now. And it's just more of just a food for thought. So I want you to just kind of have that, am I resting? Am I taking that extra care for myself? You know, am I allowing everybody, when everyone wants me, I pick up the phone and they can call you, and you're missing out on your rest day. And I think it's important that you prioritize, sleep, rest, and that actually, I personally think, is actually the ultimate goal of a productivity. Because if you have a rest day, what do you think you're going to do the next day if you've rested? You will have a list of stuff that you're going to do automatically because you're rested. You're not going to have to like, oh my God, like it's all the way around where you've done so much, I got to rest. It's more of like, I'm going to rest. So like by the next day, if I've got to do the cleaning, if I've got to do the housework, if I've got to go and run an errand, then that's all done and you're not tired. But I think sometimes when we don't set things on our calendar, on where what works for us, I think we end up confused, and then our diary, our state of mind is, we're kind of all over the place. And I think sometimes actually getting a diary and scheduling, like today I'm actually not going to do nothing, and actually sticking to it. There's one thing to say I'm going to form these habits, and then there's another thing to say, well, it's been working for me, but I feel great, like I'm not going to prioritize. And then months down the line you're like, oh, why am I burnt out again? So it's definitely really thinking about those things. And I've started to think about that for myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've taken up more time to rest. Sometimes I'm just not trying to be everywhere anymore, because I think you have to prioritize looking after yourself. Your mental health that's included in there, to be fair. As I say, when you're tired, you're not productive, you don't want to do anything, and you can't do anything because your brain's not operating in its ultimate best. And as I say, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that, because I think if we've had moments where we can admit to ourselves where we've gone, I have done too much and I'm extremely tired, and then it's not a new concept that I'm talking about, resting. And I thought I wanted to include it in the ebook because the goal is to write an official book eventually, for sure. But it was just a little taster of kind of what I want to do moving forward. And it's just really about just setting goals, about resting and recuperating, and sometimes saying no. Okay, that I was gonna have a topic in the book actually that I was actually gonna say about saying no, but I think that's included in prioritizing rest, because you do have to have a few no's to prioritize rest. And I think it's not always popular, because a lot of people, we don't want to let people down, but you're letting yourself down if you're tired. And I think sometimes something I've had to learn personally, because for someone like me, I've freelanced, I've worked, I could work 7 days a week, and sometimes then wonder why I'm tired. And I think you have to sometimes think to yourself, is that the best way for me moving forward? Should I say no to certain things? Do I need to go to every thing on the calendar? No. Or maybe you might just think, you might have one day when you're like, I'm not gonna do anything, and that's okay. I really want to say it out here, like it's okay to say no, because I think some people have a hard time saying no, and I've wanted this channel to be a space where you can you're not the only one that has this issue, for sure, but I want you to really just kind of think about ways of which moving forward, how you can prioritize your own well-being, and stand up for yourself, and as I say, this book, it's only brief, it just touches it just a bit, because it's more of a thinking point, because I wouldn't have a bigger, deeper conversation moving forward, and this is just more of a opener. Okay, it's just like a start of something, and then it's just like, light bulb moment, what do I need to do? And there's no right or wrong way. Some people might be going to bed early, some people might be switching off their phone by a certain time, some people might be getting up early to prioritize the ultimate best, because they find that they struggle to get up in the morning, so setting an alarm, or so whatever works for you, you've got to prioritize. And as I say, this whole channel is all about that. It's all about just whatever works. You got to try what's best for you. And I'm not someone who's going to say this is what you need to do. I don't believe in that. And I think, as I say, I've said this before, we all live different lives. And I want you to know, as I say today, that you can prioritize your rest and to be at your ultimate best. So thank you so much, guys, for obviously watching this channel today. I hope that's helped you think about what you can do moving forward. And of course, stay tuned next week for the next part, which you'll have to watch to stay tuned. It will tackle the next part of my ebook, and it's a topic of conversation. So like and subscribe. And my name is Sherelle, and I see you on the next one. Bye.